I have been slacking on a lot of things regarding the channel. I wanted to do an awards show for the Virtual Model Railroad show. I've delayed getting the Etsy store back up, and a whole host of other things that you guys don't even know about. But that got me thinking. There's a term in the hobby called an armchair model railroader. It's a title that people will bestow upon themselves when they collect trains, cars, and pretty much everything for a layout, but leave it in storage for a multitude of reasons. Today we're going to talk about how to shake the armchair title and how I'm going to get my butt in gear with some channel updates, including a few announcements at the end. Hey everybody, my name's Jimmy. Welcome to Coffee and Trains. Today I'm just drinking some more store brand coffee. I really gotta up my coffee game to where it was, but if you want to tell me what kind of coffee you're drinking and have it featured just like these guys right here below, you can leave that in the comments below and I will be sure to check that out. Cheers guys! So how do we stop just looking at our glorious trains and start playing with them? Well, there's a few ways to go from collecting to a layout. The first and most obvious is to create a space for a temporary layout. This can be a board that sits on a dining room table, you could buy a folding table, anything that gets you room to run your trains. This is where a track with pre-attached roadbed comes into play. Products like Kato Unitrack, Bachmann Easy Track for N and HO scales, and Lionel Fast Track for O scale. There's a couple other ones out there that are really great for it. These are all really great products for temporary layouts and are easy to transition into permanent setups. My whole layout is Kato Unitrack. In terms of the table you're thinking of using, use something like a sheet of inexpensive OSB board. That's the board they use for sheeting house walls, or you can get some inexpensive plywood that you can then paint green or brown so that you can lay track on a folding table or kitchen table for your temporary setup. This is actually how I started model railroading when I came back into the hobby about 8 years ago. You can even cut the board in half and add hinges for easier storage. Okay, so you may want to do something more permanent, but don't have enough space for an entire layout. This is where modules come into play. There are several module standards out there that you can choose from if you want. The most popular ones are T-Track and N-Track for N-Scale and Fremo for HO scalers. If you have a layout plan in mind that doesn't involve a standard for track, consider TOMA, or the one module approach. This method was specifically created for model railroaders who want to get into the workings of the hobby without building their entire layout all at once. You can work on scenery, track work, and electrical wiring one section at a time, and if you're looking to move and hopefully move into a bigger space where you can have them all together permanently, all you have to do is pack up your modules and move. Okay, so you want to get going and have a functional layout right now. You don't want a temporary setup or modules. Consider building a switching layout. Switching layouts are great for having a lot of action and function without taking up a bunch of space. MRR2, my HO scale switching layout I'm building, is designed for just that. It is a 1 foot wide by 6 foot long, or roughly 300 millimeters by 1800 millimeters for our metric friends, and it will have a town scene and some industrial scenery too. One key thing to consider when building a switching layout is, do you have any future plans? I don't have any future plans for MRR2 beyond the 1x6, but I did design it just in case that changes so that it could be able to be hooked up as a branch of a 4x8 HO scale layout or something similar, if I ever decided I want to build one in addition to my N-scale layout. Granted, that's a pretty big if, but it's nice to have options. Alright, so the last half of 2022 was honestly really crazy in my personal life. Nothing really negative happening, but it was a crazy time, a lot of stuff going on, and I slacked off on the channel and the things that I wanted to get done. So how am I getting my butt in gear? Well, I'm getting to things that I wanted to accomplish before, and now we're getting back on track. I'm going to start off with a couple of announcements. The first is that I am slowly reopening my Etsy store. Some of you have actually already noticed and are ordering things already. I do not have all of my buildings for sale. As a matter of fact, I don't have most of my buildings for sale. And I'm doing some restructuring to make the most popular items for sale more often. And I also have, for the first time, digital versions of some of my most popular models available for $10 a model. And when you download it, you get an HO, an N, and a Z scale version of those models. Another thing that I'm doing addresses a complaint that I do get from time to time on my channel about the amount of ads that YouTube places on a video. Now, the bottom line is that YouTube ad revenue does fund a lot of the projects that I do on this channel. I would not be able to do what I do on this channel without YouTube ad revenues. But I understand the reason for not wanting to see all the ads. They do kind of put a lot of them on there. So what I decided to do is I've had a $2 a month tier on my Patreon that really hasn't had that many differences in the benefits package that a $1 a month would. So I need to add something to that to make the people that are on the $2 a month one feel like they're getting the more value out of it. So what I decided to do was add a benefit to the $2 a month Signalman tier and higher. You will now be able to watch my videos commercial free on Patreon. The videos will also go live at midnight Eastern, a full 7 hours before the YouTube video. I'm still working out the kinks of uploading to Patreon, as they have a limit to how much video I can post, but this video and the previous video are up on Patreon ad-free. Just scroll through the post to find them. Now, one thing I whiffed big time on was the award show that I had planned. I just fell flat on my face. It fell through the cracks. It didn't happen, and that was part of that last 6 months of crazy in 2022. So this year is going to be different. I'm already planning to do the first round of voting for the January through March nominations for finalists for the Virtual Model Railroad Show on my Patreon next week. That way, come December, I've already got the ball rolling, and it's going to be easier to have awards to give out. I'm also considering a few other awards to give out as well. These will be viewer choice awards, and I have a couple categories in mind to start that will be extremely simple, but hopefully it will work out. In the meantime, if you were featured in the Virtual Model Railroad Show in 2022, you can head over to my website, DIYanddigitalRR.com, click the Virtual Model Railroad Show tab, and there is a link to download a certificate saying that you were featured on the show. I know this isn't much, but it's a way that I can say thank you, and it's just something cool that you can have that you can print out and maybe put in your train room. I want to say thank you to everyone for watching, and thank you for bearing with me as I kind of whiffed and missed on a few things that happened last year. But this year, I'm hoping that things are going to be a lot better. I'm already feeling a lot better. I'm feeling some momentum here. So I think it's going to be a good rest of the year, and I'm really hoping that not only the Etsy store keeps going, but the Virtual Model Railroad Show and the awards ceremony happen as well. And I really hope that that new Patreon level addresses some of you guys that really want to watch without ads. I hope this gives you an option for that. So thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, drink some coffee, and happy railroading.